after winning, 11 straight, 12 of 13, come to AmFam Field after a day of rest and have dropped 2 in a row to the Miami Marlins. They've got another one coming up here today, a 1:10 start. Jason Wilde will be joining us. We're going to get Dom Cotroneo on here to talk a little Brewers as well as we head into the Major League Baseball trade deadline. But let's start in Green Bay with training camp here, because as I have been taking in all of the news, all of the analysis, all of the prognostication, right? This is that time. Everybody's getting ready for the NFL season coming up. Baseball's really starting to heat up, and we are going to get to a lot of Brewers talk. But so much around the NFL and this sense of optimism across all these camps, right? You're hearing about guys in shirts and T-shirts who are playing great. You're hearing about, contract situations, hold-ins, hold-outs. And when I look at where this Green Bay Packers team is, ultimately we have a team that has been a perennial playoff team, but has struggled to take that next jump. And I don't mean that in a way that is ultimately, denigrating of what the Packers are able to or have accomplished. But the hardest jump in the NFL to make is going from playoff team to serious contender, right? There might be 3, 4, 5 contenders, true contenders each NFL season that you point to and you say, okay, we know Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. We know Josh Allen and the Bills. We know Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. We know Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. After those 4 teams, who do you look at and say, okay, they're serious contenders? Now, you could potentially throw the Commanders in there after getting to the, NFC Championship game last year. You could potentially throw in the Detroit Lions, who were the best team in the NFL until they lost in the playoffs last year. You could potentially throw in, I wouldn't, the, Cincinnati Bengals, because Joe Burrow has appeared in a Super Bowl and gotten the Bengals in there. But you're talking about a very select group of teams that you could legitimately say are not potentially contenders, but are in that elite contender category. I don't think anybody would say that the Green Bay Packers are in that elite contender category where we sit today on July 27th, 2025. Now, that's not to say they can't get there, but that is the hardest jump for me to make in the NFL. It's easier to go from completely awful to, relevant, or from middling to playoff team. We see those jumps constantly, right? Where all of a sudden the Denver Broncos last year, everybody thought they were hopeless. Draft a quarterback, have a good coach, have one of the best offensive lines in football.
One of the best defenses in football as well. D-line, front set. Well, D-line's really good.
And now you're like, oh, they're a playoff team, right? Like you see that happen every year. But to get into that actual elite contender category is really, really difficult. So it's not insulting to say that like they're not there. I just don't see them getting there this year based on what happened in the offseason. And I want people to tell me why I'm wrong.
Really? See, this is where I think it's interesting for me. I go back to the Detroit Lions. Now, the Detroit Lions, it was a little bit different because they seem a little bit flashy, especially last year. They were thrashing teams throughout the regular season. But remember, Detroit sucked. Yep. Ended the season pretty well a couple years ago, right? And they beat the Green Bay Packers to basically, end Aaron Rodgers' career in Green Bay. And everybody said, what? Okay, the Detroit Lions seem like they're building something. And then they came back and backed it up by winning the NFC North. And then they backed it up by winning the NFC North again and being the number 1 seed in the overall NFC, right? There's steps in the process. And when I look at the Green Bay Packers, I just think they're taking steps in the process. You're right. They are not an elite contender at this moment, but they have some ingredients to potentially become an elite football team this year. When you talk about Jordan Love, everybody was high on Jordan. Well, I don't know. You're an East Coast guy, so you may not have been as high as us Wisconsinites on Jordan Love, but everybody was high going into the season on Jordan Love, whether it was local media or national media. He gets hurt week 1. He tries to play through injury. Then he hurts his hip after he hurt his knee. Then he hurt his thumb going into the playoff game. He wasn't healthy last year, had some turnover issues, and so we haven't seen the best of Jordan Love yet. And then you're talking about a receiving core. All those guys, to me, are above average wide receivers, and if they can all take that next step, you're talking about an offense that was already a top 10 offense this year that has the opportunity to solidify itself as being a solid top 5 offense. And the defense, despite how we may feel about the defense, Greg, where did they finish last year? top 10 defense, and somehow we're top 10 in sacks because they got to play against the Titans and the Miami Dolphins where they got to harass the quarterback. But all I'm saying is this, is that, yes, you're right. They're not elite right now, but they have a lot of the ingredients to be elite. You have a great safety. You have Edgerrin Cooper, who may be taking that next step, who some people think could be one of the top inside linebackers in the NFC North. You have Jordan Love, who could arguably, at the end of this year, be the best quarterback in the NFC North. You have a great running back in Josh Jacobs. I'm just saying, tight end as well. He's not as elite as some other tight ends in this division, but he is up there in that conversation where we think Tucker Kraft could be the guy. So I understand where you're coming from, but I think the Packers are closer to being an elite football team than a non-playoff football team.
Well, I would agree with you there. It would be a pretty disappointing, especially with how many teams make the playoffs nowadays, right? I mean, you got 3 wild card slots. Like, you're talking about 7 teams in each conference.
11 wins last year got you the 7th seed in the NFC. So I mean, that ain't bad.
But I think that you're onto the, as you say, recipe, right? You said, hey, they got the ingredients. To me, the recipe of them getting there happens with Jordan Love establishing himself as a bona fide top 5 quarterback, right? Where you could start throwing Jordan Love's name after Lamar, Allen, Mahomes, Burrow. Those are probably your top 4 undisputed quarterbacks in the NFL, right? If you could throw Jordan Love's name in that number 5 slot, and the offense all of a sudden's a top 3, top 4 offense, to me, that's the only recipe that ultimately gets them there. Because I don't trust the defense. We can throw the stats out all we want.
What is it about the defense that you don't trust?
The lack of pass rush.
Okay.
It's just the lack of ability to get to the quarterback. Like, I love Xavier McKinney. I don't think that the defensive backfield, from a cornerback standpoint, is going to be as problematic. I love Edgerrin Cooper.
And Nate Hobbs has been a dog, they said. He's been a dog so far during this offseason.
And I love Edgerrin Cooper, and I love Quay Walker. I just don't know who's getting to the quarterback. I don't believe in Lucas Van Ness. I don't. Rashawn Gary, I'm worried we saw the peak. I would love to see him get back. He was one of my favorite guys to watch. That defensive line, I would sell all of my Kenny Clark stock now if people would buy it.
See, I'll buy it because it's low. It's low. It's a penny stock right now.
I don't know about that. I mean, look at what the man's getting paid. Devontae Wyatt. I don't know what that is. It just feels like they don't have a really strong defensive identity. Now, they got a good defensive coordinator last year that I think has made the defense more competent. But to me, they still have to reach that elite level through incredible offensive play. And I just don't know if that's going to happen. Now, again, you could point back to the wide receivers, and I love the idea of this offense where you've got 5 or 6 great pass catchers, and they each play a role.
That's what Matt LaFleur's selling you on. He said anybody can have a big day. That's what he was
when does that work? I love it.
I agree.
It's like the ultimate perfect is the enemy of progress, where it's like, if it worked, it would be so perfect and so dangerous, but it's so hard to do to build a great trusting relationship with 5 or 6 guys for Jordan Love and trust that all of them are going to be exactly where they need to be and all on the same page with Jordan Love on every play. To me, you're going to have a better chance of having Matthew Golden turn into a bona fide number 1 than to have whatever dream scenario Matt LaFleur has to be able to say, you know what? This is going to be a team that has 4 or 5 great wide receivers, and we can rotate them like most teams do defensive line. Chef Ed chimes in on the Carbless Talk and Text line. List is more, 800-990-3776. Again, 800-990-3776. Says, every year the Packers, Bucks, or Brewers, it's always close but no cigar. But this year is different. Love is healthy. Giannis has a point to prove, and the Brewers are winning it all for Euchre. You are cooking with Chef Ed.
Chef Ed has been feeling himself lately. He has some really good songs on Kyle Bruston, Nortman 2 to 5, ESPN Wisconsin. So,
now he's got his own tagline. You're cooking with Chef Ed.
You are cooking with Chef Ed. So that is his tagline.
Here's what I don't think is fair. I do feel like oftentimes we lump all of the Wisconsin teams together, like the bite at the apple, the close but no cigar. The Bucks won a championship 4 years ago. Do we forget that? The Packers have been to one Super Bowl in 27 years, and we're like, yep, Bucks, Packers, same. Brewers haven't been to a World Series since 1982. The Bucks get no credit for going to an NBA Finals and winning a chip within the last 5 years.
The problem is that when Aaron Rodgers, because 2015 was only 5 seasons after the Packers had won a Super Bowl. I think that was the Seattle game as well, where Packers fans were still starving for another Super Bowl appearance, and we ended up never getting one. And so, yeah, it's only been a couple years, 4 seasons since we won our NBA championship. But when you have one of the greatest players in the league and one of the greatest players of all time, your appetite for more championships is big. And so when you are failing,
you're saying for Giannis?
For Giannis, so just like where Aaron Rodgers had to face it, I mean, after we went a couple years without winning the championship and had some heartbreakers, and people were like, okay, all right, we're going to get back. We didn't get back, right? So people weren't very patient with the Packers after 4 seasons after they didn't make it to a championship with Aaron Rodgers.
I actually don't disagree with you.
And so we just have a big appetite for it.
But 14 years later, everybody's more patient for the Packers than they are for the Bucks.
I mean,
than they are for anybody else. It's like, oh, you know what? I'm seeing these videos of people chanting MVP for Mark Murphy. Acting like he won 24. He won 4 Super Bowls over the last 18 years.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. That one, we talked about that one on KBN, and I said this is ridiculous. Like, how is he getting a hero's farewell as if he did something so great? His impact was more impactful off the field than what it was on the field for the Green Bay Packers. Winning 1 Super Bowl in 15 years, great. A lot of people don't do that.
Going to 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's the big. With Aaron Rodgers, you didn't do enough to build a championship team or demand that the people that you hired, that you put in place to be successful, did not do enough to build a champion around Aaron Rodgers. And we're chanting MVP. We've been talking about Mark Murphy since April, and him being gallivanted around on the NFL draft stage. Did you hear when they said he got to break down the team during the practice 1, 2, 3 Super Bowl?
Oh, my God.
Like, what's going on? Him signing autographs. Like, I'm not hating on the man, but I'm saying, go on, move on. You didn't do enough. Your legacy will be the fact that the Green Bay Packers were able to build a lot of great stuff around Lambeau.
Yeah.
That's the legacy in football and sports.
It's bizarre because most of the time, you don't have fans that are excited about how much money the owner is making off of the team. And Mark Murphy's the de facto owner, and he was able to drive a lot of revenue to the Packers. And it feels like Packers fans are like, look at what he did. Look at all this money that he made.
The only title he got entitled down now is the dang outside of the stadium.
800-990-ESPN, 800-990-3776. We'll keep it cooking with you on Sunday Karma next across ESPN Wisconsin. Of course I did.
You stole it.
This is Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app. Get your golf fix every Tuesday night at 6 with On the Tee.
Spieth is probably going to, embarrass me at some point. The hell do you know? Shut up and carry the bag.
Join Gabe Neitzel and Stephen Watson as they dissect all things pro golf and tell the tales of their own golfing journeys in Wisconsin.
I think it's golf in its purest form, and I think it should bookend the golf season.
Go On the Tee with Gabe and Stephen, sponsored by Majestic Oaks at Lake Lawn Resort and Gruber Law Offices. Tuesday nights at 6 on 94.5 ESPN and ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
Windows, windows, windows. You hear all about everyone's windows and how theirs are the greatest. I'll tell you, our windows are the best as well. Hi, I'm Eric Brown, owner of Siding Unlimited, and I'm right there with you. We've taken the most trusted brand in windows, Pella, and paired them with such an outstanding business that we will deliver results to you at your home. Siding Unlimited has won Pella's prestigious 5-time Pella Platinum Premier National Contractor of the Year award. Siding Unlimited is the company to install your new windows.
Monica, we've got to hand it to you.
You and the design team have outdone yourselves.
Are you talking about the One collection?
Those rings say you are the one.
And they say it symbolically.
Describe the symbols.
Every ring in the One collection should be presented with a special ritual.
What would that ritual be?
You pick up her left hand and you place a kiss on her ring finger.
Rick, you never told me about that part.
Then you show her the tiny red diamond, flush mounted inside the ring, that will forever be in contact with her finger.
Why is it red?
Because that's when the giver says to the one, wherever you go, my heart goes with you.
I give you this kiss. I give you my heart.
The red diamond is a secret symbol of that sacred moment.
The center diamond on the outside of the ring is for the whole world to see.
But the tiny red created diamond inside the ring is only for the two of them.
The One collection of engagement rings is available exclusively at Kessler's.
To find the Kesslers nearest you,
Visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Hey, this is Mike from Infinity Exteriors. Buying a roof, siding, or windows can feel overwhelming. Hidden costs, confusing contracts. We don't play that game. We educate you so you can decide. And when you know the facts, Infinity Exteriors is the clear choice. Since 1997, we've installed peace of mind with no surprise upcharges, flexible budgets, and immediate financing. Infinity Exteriors, saving our communities from unscrupulous contractors. Visit infinityexteriors.com.
At Citizens Bank, community banking is you, growing your business with a partner who gets it. It's you, buying your first home with a lender who makes it easy. It's you, building a future with savings that work just as hard as you. And it's us, working together to strengthen our community. Because at Citizens Bank, community banking means you plus us. Visit us at citizensbankwi.bank. Citizens Bank is member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
At Cousin Subs, the bigger your smile, the better we feel. That's why our menu features something for everyone, like our Wisconsin cheese curds, golden fries, creamy shakes, and mac and cheese, all paired with your favorite sub, or our subs in a bowl. And don't forget our kids' meals, now with a free cookie. Here's to a better day. Cousin Subs. We believe in better.
Kyle Brust-Nortman's Ben Brust here for Grimal and Associates Insurance. They do what anyone with a growing family, like myself, does. Protect what matters most. Grimal and Associates specializes in coverage that's tailored exactly to you. Clients aren't just policies. They're part of their community. Personalized American Family Insurance backed service, expert guidance, and genuine commitment. Grimal and Associates focuses on building trusted relationships and providing peace of mind. The same values they've had for over 30 years in the Milwaukee area. Connect with Grimal and Associates at teamgrimal.com.
Whether it's breaking Packers news, breaking Bucks news, or breaking Brewers news, we are Milwaukee's place for the biggest sports stories right when they happen on 94.5 ESPN and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
I'm a puppet on a string, Tracy Island, time traveling diamond, could have shaped heartaches come to find.
More Sunday Karma coming up on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Sunday Karma across ESPN Wisconsin. Greg Scalzo, Kyle Wallace, no Alex Strofe. Slacking. No Craig Karmazin. You calling, texting on the Carbless Talking text line 800-990-3776. Again, 800-990-ESPN. Chef Ed hit us about 10 minutes ago and said every year, Packers, Bucks, Brewers, always close but no cigar. And as we really look at what that means in the context of, you know, the Bucks continuing to take big swings, the Packers in training camp right now trying to take that jump, and the Brewers heading into a trade deadline when they are among the best teams in all of Major League Baseball, sort of begs the question of like that level of risk you want your teams to take, right? Like if you're looking at this Brewers team right now, you're sitting atop the NL Central, tied with the Chicago Cubs. You're competing regularly for the best record in baseball. It kind of changes every day, every other day right now. 2 games back, a game and a half back at Toronto for the best record in baseball. But they're going to be a playoff team. And you're heading into the trade deadline. And it's always interesting to me to hear the criticisms from fans of the Brewers don't do enough, right? It's always this bite at the apple. They're never going to go out and spend for the big free agent. They're never going to go take this big swing in a trade. And then in the same breath, hear the criticism of the Bucks for going out, taking big swings, and then ultimately not every swing you're going to take is going to hit. Some of them did for the Bucks, and they won a championship within the last 5 years,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, it did.
Going out and getting Drew Holiday was a big swing. They mortgaged a lot of their future. That helped lead to a championship. Then they went out and got P.J. Tucker, right? Like they went over the, into luxury tax, into the second apron. They went, and that all worked. They won a championship. Then they go and they say, you know what? In order to win another one, we think we're going to need to go ahead and get better offensively, because that's ultimately, them being honest with themselves about what it was going to take for them to continue to compete at the highest level. And it was, hey, we won one championship really primarily off of defense. We've got Giannis. What we need to do is get better offensively. And we think the best way to do that is to get that guy at the end of the game that can take the shot and win it for you. And they went out and got one of the best to ever do it in Damian Lillard. And between, 2 years, him and Giannis played, 3 playoff games together? Injuries got in the way.
Yeah. Giannis and Chris, shoot.
Yeah.
Was it 0 all 3 together? I know you only had one season, but whew.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden, the Bucks get criticized for, what are you doing? Look at, and then they go and they didn't say, okay, well, that didn't work, so now we're going to give up. Let's just try to, maybe hold on to Giannis and figure out what this team looks like in 2 or 3 years, or trade Giannis and hit rock bottom. They said, no, we're going to continue to pay, take swings, release and stretch Damian Lillard to go out and sign the best free agent in basketball, Miles Turner. Hope that's enough to ultimately satisfy Giannis, and hope that some of these young guys step up and you can continue to contend for championships. But we hear so much criticism about the Bucks for that. And the Packers sit here as ultimately, to me, out of these 3 professional sports teams, the most risk-averse of all of those franchises in the last really 15, 20 years.
More than the Brewers?
I think more than the Brewers. The Brewers have at least gone out and tried to make things happen, whether it was CeCe Sabathia or...
CeCe Sabathia was forever ago.
Well, I'm saying 15, 20 years. I mean, the last real risk that the Packers took...
That's true.
The last real risk the Packers took, to me, was signing Charles Woodson, right? They gave him a big contract after a couple injury years.
Yeah.
That was a big swing, and it ended up doing what?
A home run. It was a grand slam. It was
brought him a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I guess you are right. I guess they really haven't had to take many risks because of who they've had at quarterback. They've been able to depend on the arm of Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and now they're going to figure out whether or not they have to depend on, or they're going to depend on, the arm of Jordan Love. So they've been kind of spoiled. So I get where you're coming from the fact that they really haven't had to take risks because they've been able to depend on an amazing quarterback to lead the team and make up for some of the lack thereof on the roster.
Yeah, but I also think the way that you position that is like, shouldn't it be looked at the same way with Giannis? Like, hey, when you've got these quarterbacks, like those quarterbacks are sufficient to get them into the playoffs every year. The same way Giannis.
We were getting the NFC Championship games. We were getting there. What the problem with the Milwaukee Bucks is, again, injuries have plagued the Milwaukee Bucks in the playoffs when it matters. But when you're talking about 3 consecutive playoffs where you're getting out in the first round, if the Green Bay Packers had Aaron Rodgers, and every year they got out in the wild card for 3 consecutive seasons, people will be ready to shake things up. But that wasn't the case for the Packers. They were still able to win a playoff game, compete in the playoffs. The Bucs are getting just beat the heck up in the playoffs.
Yes, recently. These past couple of years, you're right. Since
the finals. I mean, the 1 year after the finals, it was injury as well that basically took us out of having a chance to try to go back-to-back. But it's been a rough road, Greg.
Ron and the Key chimes in on the Carbless Talking text line. Greg Scalzo, Kyle Wallace, Sunday Karma. You calling, texting 800-990-ESPN, ESPN 800-990-3776. Ron says, you are co-hosting with the king of Packers won't go for it, while also horse screwed up going for it, Greg. He's throwing that at you, Kyle.
That's why I said hello, Ron. I already knew Ron was taking some shots at me.
All right.
That's Ron's favorite tradition to do it. No, I mean, everything is different, right? For the Green Bay Packers, the way I see it is that they're developing something, right? I like the consistency. I would love for them to go and get somebody else, but I can't complain because the Packers, even when we moved on from Aaron Rodgers, what happened? We had I wouldn't call it a magical run, but they beat the heck out of the Dallas Cowboys, and then they competed against the San Francisco 49ers, where they were actually up in that game for a chance to go to the NFC Championship which was a miracle to a lot of people. Whereas I look on the opposite side for the Milwaukee Bucks, I can't see a future. Like, I don't know what the vision is, nor do I think John Horst understands what the vision is, because right now you're just bringing guys in, and granted they did keep some guys from last year's roster and moved on from some as well, but I don't know what the vision is. What is the future, right? What are we building to? We started the show off talking about the Green Bay Packers, why I felt like they can take that next step to be an elite football team, because I see the steps that they're taking. When I look at the Bucks, it just feels like a hamster wheel. They just keep turning things over and over and over, and I don't know the direction that they are going.
I would disagree with that. I think the direction they're going is they've got a generational player, and they just want to put themselves in a position to win every year. Miles Turner's a great fit next to Giannis.
Yeah,
like,
but
that makes a lot of sense.
Do you think this team is a championship team this year?
It depends on, in the same way we talk about the
Injuries
Packers.
for other teams.
Well, it also depends on some of these young guys stepping up, right? Like, can Ryan Rollins take a step where he's actually a bona fide starter in the NBA? Can Kevin Porter Jr. build on what he did last year? Can Gary Trent ultimately, be who he was in the playoffs as a scorer, if given that opportunity? Ultimately are they looking like defensively? But yet, they've got a really weak Eastern Conference. And that's being assisted by the Achilles injuries of Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum.
You just got to worry about Cleveland and trying to figure out whether or not the Magic are for real now.
Yeah, so I mean,
Knicks.
I kind of get what they're doing, and that's part of it for them is survival. Of like, hey, we need to compete every year to keep Giannis. And without Giannis, then you're hitting a big reset button because that's basketball.
But the thing is survival, and I am not one. I will never knock the Damian Lillard trade because it was a good trade. The Bucks needed to have a scoring punch.
Agreed.
But, survival ain't the goal. It's winning a championship.
But then how is that different than the Packers? Because, going even back to the Brewers, right? There's such frustration with this team as they're getting ready for the MLB, which I think is somewhat unfair. They're getting ready for the Major League Baseball trade deadline, where it's, hey, we're tired of this team just taking bites at the apple, getting into the playoffs, but never taking that big swing to take that next jump and getting rid of some of their veterans who are more established and continuing to build for the future. Don't the Packers do the same thing? Aren't you saying, hey, they're building. It's just, hey, every year they get in the playoffs, maybe they'll take that magical run. But the Packers ultimately have that level of forgiveness from fans that nobody else does.
I couldn't stand Goody because I felt Goody, and I still am mad because Goody, when you're talking about Sammy Hammy Watkins and Devin Funchess as the guys you're bringing in for Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, that is a shame. You are supposed to build the best offense you can around Aaron Rodgers. Don't depend on Aaron to uplift everybody else. Give Aaron some talent so he can be like, dang, I got all these different guys I can throw the ball to. Robert Tonyan, we were thinking was a really good tight end. Like he's
Bobby Tonyan,
Alan Lazard. Like, come on now, he had to deal with some below average guys.
He did, and I agree, but it feels like two different sets of rules at times because folks want this Brewers team to get really aggressive to say, why don't we go for it and win it? And there isn't that same yearning right now, and maybe it's because at its core, this Packers Nation doesn't believe in Jordan Love the way that you do, Kyle, right? Because if you really thought Jordan Love is that dude, and you got this young team and young guys with these contracts around, it feels like this would be the type of year where you go all in and try to swing for the big free agent or the big trade.
We're a season away.
Okay.
We're a season away.
So not this season.
I mean, no.
Next season.
I feel like next offseason there'll be some big moves for the Green Bay Packers.
All right. 800-990 ESPN. Dick in downtown chimes in and says, I'm really bullish on this Bucks team and will be betting them to win the Eastern Conference Finals.
$20 can win you a lot of money.
I wonder what those odds are at Potawatomi
I can find them for you.
Hotel Casino. We'll find them. We can't take too much time there because we are not going to make you wait for Jason Wilde. He joins us next to talk all things Packers here. Sunday Karma across ESPN Wisconsin.
This is Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
At Tony Wendorf & Associates First Weber Real Estate Services, we believe in the human side of real estate.
Change Your Oil, Change Lives promotion, benefiting Feeding America of Eastern Wisconsin. Over the past 15 years, they've raised over $953,000, which provided more than 3.8 million meals to people in southeastern Wisconsin, the majority being children and seniors. These are just a few reasons to service your car or truck and buy your next vehicle from an Adam member dealer instead of a national online company with no ties to our community. To find an Adam member dealer, visit adam.com. That's ADAMM.com.
Summer is here, and your taste buds deserve the best. Carbless is perfect for the pool, the lake, or hanging out by the fire. Full of flavor with 0 sugars, only 100 calories, and made with premium spirits. Don't just settle for something overly carbonated and those flavorless seltzers. Carbless has full flavor with every sip, not just a hint. So when you're ready to take a drink and ready to chill, Carbless is clean, crisp, and won't leave you feeling bloated. Find your bliss today at drinkcarbless.com.
For windows with the strongest resilience, you need the Pella Experience.
The biggest thing for us in the Experience Center was the collaboration with the team. We were able to come in and sit down and go over a bunch of different options, and it wasn't just us dictating what we wanted.
They asked us things we didn't even know or think about, from colors to hardware, and because of that, we were able to get the best possible look for our home.
Hi, I'm Gina Della from Pella. Just like Jim and Haley, you too can see, feel, open, close, and compare dozens of window and door options from 7 different Pella lines, side by side, at our Pella Experience Center in Brookfield. And today is a great day to stop by because right now you can get 0% interest for up to 5 years. The Pella Experience Center is on Blue Mountain Road, kitty corner to delicious Cops. With a range of affordable options and products assembled in the USA, get the look you want at a price you can afford. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Server restrictions apply in 7/31/2025. Start the day with Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
You can't get to the Super Bowl in early October, but they are not playing like a team that has those types of aspirations right now.
On 94.5 ESPN, ESPN Milwaukee's YouTube channel, and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Put a coin in the slot, you just hit jackpot. Hey, all the girls that's here for the truth, come put 2 hands on the DJ boot, then wind your waist for the 6-side U-turn. Put your head in the pillow face first.
You're listening to Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Brewers dropped 2 straight at AmFam Field. We're back at it against the Miami Marlins. 1:10 start. You can hear that on 620 WTMJ and across the Brewers radio network. But the Green Bay Packers making a lot of news. Mark Murphy steps down as he turns 70 years old. They're back at it at camp. It's everybody's favorite time of the year. Shirts and t-shirts and shorts practices. Overreactions left and right.
Matthew Golden looking good.
Yeah,
boy.
exactly. So we're going to talk to somebody who can maybe center us a little bit more when it comes to all things Packers. You hear him every day across ESPN Wisconsin. I'm Wilde and Tausch from 9 a.m. to noon. He is Jason Wilde. Hello, Jason. How are you doing?
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, Kyle. How you guys doing?
Do you ever know who's going to be on this show when you call in? Like, are you ever just, or is it just like a little bit of roulette for you? We're like, yeah, I don't know who I'm going to be talking to or how many of them are going to be there.
I barely know.
It is definitely host roulette. Now, I will say that whether it's Will the Thrill Summers or Kyle or whoever might be producing, they do a great job of alerting me before the actual segment begins of who's on the show. So that's helpful. But, you know, look, we got the president, CEO, founder, whatever all the Craig's titles are. You're a big wig. Like you're obviously very experienced on this side before you became such a business-centric dude. And Strofe obviously super talented, and there's nothing Kyle doesn't do. So I know it's always going to be good. The question is, am I going to get the job done?
You usually do, Jason. Let's start with Mark Murphy.
Usually.
Always do, Jason. Let's start with Mark Murphy. You have a nice piece that went up on channel3000.com there just about his legacy. And, I think that do you think because he's not an owner, fans are that much more willing to celebrate some of the off-field accomplishments that Mark Murphy has had? Because you don't normally hear from fans about the impact owners make outside of what their favorite team does on the field or court.
Yeah, I think it's a couple things, right? I mean, I think primarily it's the fact that the team is owned by the fans and there isn't some billionaire dude who's digging into his pockets for, a big chunk of the salaries or whatever it might be. So I think that's it more than anything. And, I think Murphy has done a really good job of being kind of and I say this in the absolute kindest possible way, kind of a likable doofus a little bit, right? Like he's not that different than your buddy that's trying out his one-liners on the bar stool when he's talking about the Packers, right? And I try to kind of capture that in my story because he really does, man. I swear he's a stand-up comic trapped in the body of a football executive. And he tries to make those one-liners, and sometimes they fall flat, as I wrote, but he had the great line about the golf course he owns. He says, it's the nicest golf course in all of Bailey's Harbor. It's also the only golf course in Bailey's Harbor. Like, he's kind of a dad joke machine. But in fairness, he accomplished a lot during his time here. I mean, they've expanded their financial footprint, obviously, in a huge way. They
Jason,
have
I'm
title
sorry.
count. He got the draft.
I don't want to interrupt for too long, but that's the problem for me. It's the first thing you start with is the financial footprint and not the multiple championships, which is important, but because that was his job. But I want to start
Kyle,
with championships.
So right, you're right about that. But at the same time, I can't and I love you like my black brother,
and I love you like my white brother.
I know you do, and I appreciate that. You make me cooler every time I talk to you. But I can't start with that because he hasn't done it, right? Like that's the reality. And one of the things, and I was saying this to somebody else yesterday. I think the world of Cliff Crystal. He is the godfather of beat writers on this beat. Like he did it the best, and there were other people that maybe got more attention, but weren't as shall we say, ethical as he was. And everyone that I know that covers this team now strives to be more like Cliff. And he's the team historian now. And he wrote a column that, as much as I love him and admire him, I just disagree with. And his column was that Mark Murphy is the best president that they've had. And I would just vehemently disagree with that because, one, while he did hire two very good people, right? Goody is a very good GM. Matt LaFleur is a very good coach. They have not won a title together. When the Packers did win a title, it was with the general manager, Ted Thompson, and the head coach, Mike McCarthy, who were hired during Bob Harlan's tenure. I would also say that Bob Harlan hired Ron Wolf and gave him total control of the operation, which allowed them to get, after 30 years of wandering in the wilderness, to stop sucking and be a contender and eventually win a Super Bowl. He made the decision to pull the Packers out of Milwaukee, which, as someone who had season tickets at County Stadium, whose grandparents bought tickets at State Fair Park in West Allis in the 1940s, season tickets down there, that was 60 years.
1940s.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Well, it goes deep. So, and that had started. They had started playing games in Milwaukee in 1934. They pulled out in 1994, and so they spent 60 years with Milwaukee helping pay the bills. Like what they decided to play those games in Milwaukee because they needed to financially, and so for them to say no, so for Bob to say we're done at County Stadium, we're going to have all the games at Lambeau, and the people that have tickets there will be able to have tickets to games at Lambeau. That was a huge decision. And then, obviously the biggest one, and quite frankly, and I understand I'm biased toward Bob, maybe that's, Cliff's bias toward Mark Murphy, but to me the biggest thing is I'm standing in my office right now about to walk out to practice, and this wasn't here in 2000. Like, this stadium had to be redeveloped. It had to be renovated. The corrugated green metal building that most folks don't know about at this point, other than people that are old like me or Tausch, who played in that stadium for a year or two before it was finished. Like, that almost killed Bob Harlan. He had to work so hard to get that 0.5% sales tax added on so they could pay for the stadium, which cost them $295 million to get rebuilt. And so, like, to me, he is undeniably the most successful team president, right? They won one Super Bowl on his watch as president, and then the other one they won, Murphy, basically did it with the guys that he'd hired. So my point is that you are 1,000% fair and correct, because that is, and Mark Murphy admitted it. That's the biggest regret of his time as president, is that they never won a title. But I think if you look at his body of work, with a very large glaring exception, it was a big success.
Talking with Jason Wilde here on Sunday Karma. And just quickly before we turn the page to what's going on at camp this year, kind of looking back, one of the bigger, somewhat controversial, but different things that Mark Murphy did was when he made that transition and had sort of this triumvirate of Russ Ball and Goody and LaFleur all report up almost as peers and not have that GM coach on the same line. That's been, 7 years of sample size now? 8? 7,
yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is Goody's 8th year as GM.
So
yep.
8 years of sample size. I mean, Jason, you're in that building. You get to see it every day. The team's been good, but they haven't been to a Super Bowl through this. That's through multiple MVP seasons with Aaron Rodgers, but they've also had multiple MVP seasons with Aaron Rodgers, a lot of NFC Championship game appearances. Do you think that was a good decision by Murphy? Like, was that the right structure and something that you think policy should continue, or do you think that there should be more alignment between coach and GM?
Yeah, so here's the thing. So Look, I think it was a difficult situation in 18 because obviously they finally faced the reality that Ted Thompson's health had deteriorated to the point that they had to make a change. But they didn't want to change coaches, right? They didn't want to get rid of Mike McCarthy at the time. They were coming off a season where they got off to a 4-1 start, and then Rodgers broke his collarbone. So, and they had been in the NFC Championship game the year prior and been in an NFC Championship game 2 of the previous 3 years. And so, I think in that case, when he decided on Gutekunst, and remember, he pulled the rug out from Goody. Goody interviewed thinking that he was going to have total control like Ted did and like Ron did. And then when he offered him the job, Murphy said, no, you and Russ, who, he wanted to keep happy after he didn't get the GM job, and McCarthy, we're all going to be on the same plane of the organizational flow chart. Now, where I think the misstep was, in my opinion, is that, first of all, they completely bungled the firing of Mike. He, as a Super Bowl champion, deserved much better. That's another blemish, in my opinion, on Mark Murphy's resume, is that, you fire him the next morning so he can address it. He had to, ask for permission to come back in the building to talk to his team. Mark Murphy screwed that up. There's no two ways about it. But once you decide to move on from Mike, then that was the opportunity to say, okay, Goody, I want you to hire a new coach. I want you to have total control. I want to go back to the old structure. And Mark Murphy didn't want to do that. And so he chose Matt LaFleur, chose wisely, right? He's been a good hire. I'm not saying that he screwed up the hire. He didn't really like me asking what made him qualified to make that decision alone, but be that as it may. But at some point, and now we're too far down that path where Goody and LaFleur are on the same line, that it's not like you can change it now if you're Ed Policy, right? It wouldn't be fair to Matt LaFleur. So I would say that, and Ed Policy told us a couple weeks ago when we talked with him, that if he thinks that it's better to go back to the previous structure, he will do that. But his hands are tied. He can't do it now. The way it would happen is, this season doesn't go according to plan. Maybe he extends each of those guys one more year. Next year doesn't go the way they want it to either. And he takes them both out and starts with a new GM and then allows that guy to hire the coach. Or maybe he just keeps it the same way whenever that change happens, and he hires the GM, and then he also hires the final say on the coach. So again, I personally don't believe it's going to come to that. Like, I think they're a playoff team. I don't think they're going to have some big backslide. I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs. But if that were to happen, then it'll be interesting to see if the structure just continues to remain intact.
It is interesting when you think about Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst going into this season, having to work with a new boss now in Ed Policy. We'll dive in next on what exactly is happening on the ground at training camp with Jason Wilde. This is Sunday Karma across ESPN Wisconsin.
You're listening to Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app. On this show, it's always football season.
Those three corners. Keyshawn Nixon has to prove that he's a CB1. Nate Hobbs has to prove that he's a full-time player. And Carrington Valentine has to prove he's more than a really good story.
Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
If those guys play like we've seen them play, but they do it on a far more consistent basis, I can see them in an NFC championship.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on 94.5 ESPN, ESPN Milwaukee's YouTube channel, and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Hey, it's Brad Nortman from KBN, and I've got big news from my friends at Bank 5-9. The Wisconsin State Fair starts on Thursday, and make sure that you stop by the Bank 5-9 main stage to see the best music and comedy acts of this year. Bringing this great entertainment to fairgoers is just another way that Bank 5-9 serves their mission to make lives better. Opening night is this Thursday, and make sure you stop by to see Midland with Southall take the stage at the Bank 5-9 main stage. Learn more about Bank 5-9 at bank59.com. Member FDIC.
It's Jason Wilde from Wilde & Tausch. Upgrade your industrial supply services with Lakeland Supply, your trusted ISO-certified partner for custom packaging, shipping supplies, janitorial, and safety supply solutions. With over 40 years of industry excellence, Lakeland Supply is a proven one-stop source with over 95% of their products made in the U.S., and they treat their customers like family. Personalized service with a national reach. That's what Lakeland Supply does. Visit lakelandsupply.com to discover how they can make your business better.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
The Big Slide, barns and barns of animals, and all that food on a stick. State Fair is one of the biggest events of the summer, and we'd like to send you there. Compliments of Discount Liquor. Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor. Purchase any one case 30-pack cans of Miller High Life or any one 12-pack Leinenkugel craft beer and receive one free State Fair ticket, all while supplies last. But don't delay. Tickets go quickly. And I know you don't want to miss the bacon-wrapped bacon. Visit us today at 51st in Oklahoma and Milwaukee and on Barstow and Main in downtown Waukesha. Discount Liquor, voted best liquor store in Milwaukee again. See us this week for your free Wisconsin State Fair ticket.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
And visit us online at discountliquorinc.com.
Hey, this is Mike from Infinity Exteriors. Buying a roof, siding, or windows can feel overwhelming. Hidden costs, confusing contracts. We don't play that game. We educate you so you can decide. And when you know the facts, Infinity Exteriors is the clear choice. Since 1997, we've installed peace of mind with no surprise upcharges, flexible budgets, and immediate financing. Infinity Exteriors, saving our communities from unscrupulous contractors. Visit infinityexteriors.com.
True Chicago-style pizza is thin, crispy, and cut into squares. And thanks to Connie's Frozen Pizza, you can enjoy a true slice of the city. You'll enjoy it so much you won't even mind where it comes from. Connie's Frozen Pizzas are made from the same cornmeal crust Connie's has been serving for over 60 years. They're perfectly cheesy, perfectly saucy, and they're exactly what you crave. Get to know the true Chicago style with Connie's Frozen Pizza. Born in Chicago, loved by cheeseheads. Available in a freezer aisle near you.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Kyle Wallace. Choose from payments as low as $99 a month or 12 months with no payments and no interest, plus a free in-home window and energy assessment. Restrictions apply. Call 414-410-2000.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
We don't just cover the green and gold. We cover the green and gold. Your home for Green Bay football talk on 94.5 ESPN, ESPN Milwaukee's YouTube channel, and the ESPN Wisconsin app. You're listening to Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
It is Sunday Karma live from the Gruber Law Offices One Call That's All Studios here at the 3rd Street Market Hall in Milwaukee. Greg Scalzo, Kyle Wallace with you. Got Jason Wilde on the line live from Green Bay. Again, you can hear Jason with Mark Tauscher every day, 9 to noon across ESPN Wisconsin with Wilde and Tausch. You can always check them out as well on the ESPN Wisconsin app. Jason spent a lot of time talking Mark Murphy. Let's talk about training camp. It's everybody's favorite time for overreaction, right? We got practices in shorts and T-shirts, and Nate Hobbs is the next big thing, and I'm seeing now Aaron Banks is going to be participating to some degree at practice today. But catch us up on everything you think we should know about what's happening at training camp, and then I want to know where you think the biggest overreaction is to this point, because I think we're on like practice number 4 so far through training camp.
We are practice number 4, and I screwed this up during the week. It's we're not in pads. Well, I'm not in pads any day. I'm just really hot. It's really hot out here. I'm walking down now, but it's pads tomorrow, so I hate it when I screw something up like that. But it's good news for them because it's like, I think I saw our friend Joe Thomas tweet that it's 98% humidity, so the recommended clothing for today is a swimsuit because it's so wet. So they're going to practice today in, as Matt LaFleur put it, their underwear again. But look, there's been some things that you can see that are encouraging, right? Like at quarterback, Malik Willis looks a heck of a lot more comfortable. He wasn't even here last year at this time. He was still with the Titans. Jordan Love is healthy. He's moving in the pocket. He had this unbelievable throw to Dontavion Wicks on Friday, where he kind of escaped pressure and put the ball right on Wicks for a 49-yard touchdown. It was a thing of beauty. But when it comes to the big guys, whether it's Aaron Banks at left guard or the defensive lineman, like no pads, no clue, right? I mean, we just don't know what we're seeing. So I think that's, why you're looking forward to tomorrow. Now, in terms of overreactions, and I am 100% absolutely guilty of this, because I wrote about this guy today, but I did use Josh Jacobs as my cover for doing so, and so I'm going to put it on Josh if this is the overreaction that it could potentially be. And that is Isaiah Simmons, who was the 8th overall pick in the 2020 draft by Arizona, spent 3 seasons there, and then was traded at the end of training camp in 23 to the Giants, spent 2 years there, but fell out of favor last season. They got him as a minimum wage guy, and he is an athletic freak. You can, as Matt LaFleur said, see why he was the 8th overall pick. But Josh Jacobs called him a unicorn. But as Josh said, he said, I can't wait till we put the pads on, because that's the true tell. But as of now, through 3 practices and starting the 4th, he is impressive. Like, he's big, fast, athletic. He's everything you would want, and there's reason to be really excited about what he's capable of doing if he can sustain it once they put the pads on.
He feels like a shorts and T-shirt Hall of Famer, Isaiah Simmons, right out of Clemson. He's athletic enough to play defensive backfield, but he also is big enough where he could be a linebacker and get after the quarterback. Like, he seems like somebody who just, the athleticism in itself is enough to get you excited, but you can't figure out why in year 5, like, he still doesn't have a lot of success in the league.
Well, and in fairness to him, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on this, but this was his argument, was that, in Arizona and then again with the Giants, his versatility was both kind of a gift and a curse, because they never just put him at one spot and said, okay, this is what you are. And that is one difference here. And again, you're right. Let's slow our roll on him, right? But they're just putting him at Sam linebacker and letting him go. And so maybe that's exactly what he needs. Now, the skeptic in me says, well, yeah, that's a great excuse for not being productive as a top 10 pick, right? Well, they didn't use me correctly, right? We heard Devondre Campbell do that a bunch. And then, fascinatingly with him, the Packers finally used him correctly he was a first-team All-Pro. And then the next 2 seasons when he wasn't very good, then the Packers weren't using him correctly again, even though they were using him the exact same way. So, I don't want to get out in front of my skis on Simmons, but when somebody that I respect as much as Josh Jacobs says what he said, to me, Josh Jacobs has a lot more juice than I do, and I would trust his view 10 times out of 10.
Talking with Jason Wilde here on Sunday Karma. Greg Scalzo here with Kyle Wallace. Jason, I kind of opened the show talking about how, to me, the hardest jump in the NFL is going from like playoff team to really one of the 4 or 5 contenders for a Super Bowl, right? I think every year you see those teams jump from the bottom to being respectable, or even making the playoffs. But that
great take for a suit, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But that's the toughest jump. And I think that the Packers are trying to make that jump now, where everybody would trust for the next 4 years. You could kind of sign up with LaFleur and Love and this team and Goody at the helm being like, yeah, they'll be in the playoffs. What needs to happen for them to take that jump? Because I do think, we talk about an Isaiah Simmons, you talk about that defense. Like, the things that worry me about this team primarily are that front 7 on defense. And I really do believe Edgerrin Cooper is going to continue to be great. I think Quay Walker has enough there where he can take that next step. But they don't seem to have somebody that can get after the quarterback consistently. And it just feels like there's something missing in taking that next step. Is it just Jordan Love taking the next step and being one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league? Like, for you, if you could boil it down and condense it into 1 or 2 things that will allow them to go from perennial playoff team to one of the 4 or 5 teams you point to and say, nope, they're like one of those elite contenders in the league, what do you boil it down to?
Yeah, sorry, I can't do that for you, Greg. Because here's why. And people that are extremely loyal to our programming, first of all, thank you for that. But second of all, they've heard me say this till the cows come home. What is both fascinating and, if you're a fan who wants them to win a Super Bowl this year, concerning, is the number of guys they are counting on to make really meaningful jumps, right? And it starts with the quarterback, but it doesn't end with the quarterback. It's all of their top receivers, right? I mean, Watson, Dobbs, Wicks, and Reed have all shown moments of absolute brilliance. They haven't shown consistently that they can be that guy. Matthew Golden was drafted to potentially be that guy, but he's still a rookie. So no matter what he's going to be as a finished product, I don't think he's going to be that this season. We know there's a couple of known commodities, right? We know what Josh Jacobs is. We know what Xavier McKinney is. But their offensive line is going to look differently than it did last year. And whether or not that's the same, better, or worse, we'll have to wait and see. Tucker Kraft, we think, is a known commodity. But what do we know about what Luke Musgrave's capable of? If he has a healthy, big year, that changes the dynamic of their offense significantly. And then on the defensive side of the ball, it's like you said, like they paid Rashawn Gary like an elite pass rusher, but I don't think you can be considered an elite pass rusher when you've never even had a double-digit sack season. Yep. And they drafted first-round picks in Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, Lucas Van Ness, obviously Gary. And like you said, they could not get pressure with their front 4. If you look at what Philadelphia was able to do defensively last year, so much of it was predicated on the fact that they had all kinds of flexibility for Vic Fangio because they knew those front 4 were going to get home. And so that part on defense is a question mark. Obviously, Quay Walker, who I thought seemingly turned a corner before he got hurt last year in Seattle, he's shown moments, but they didn't feel good enough about him to give him a fifth-year option. The cornerback position, now you're looking at 3 guys that all have something to prove in terms of whether they can play at the level they're being asked to play at. So that, to me anyway, is both a good thing, because if all those guys, or the vast majority of those guys, everything clicks for them in year 3 or 4, they're going to be pretty damn good. If only a few of them click, or maybe 1 or 2 only click, then they're not going to be as good. And so to me, that's the answer to your question, is that's the difference between the teams that are perennial contenders to go to the Super Bowl and teams that are getting in the playoffs and hoping to catch lightning in a bottle, is that those teams generally have a bunch of established studs And these guys feel like they've got a bunch of like studs in training, and we don't know if they'll actually become that or not.
Yeah, that's a challenge. What are you going to be paying attention to today?
Well, I want to write something about Dontavion Wicks. I talked to him for a long time the other day, and he was really honest about how bad he was mentally last year. You know, he was counting reps and counting opportunities, and I mean, he didn't stay home from work like Romeo Doubs did when he was unhappy, but it affected his play. And in the second half of last season, the drops decreased. He was a little more productive. He had a big catch, obviously, the other day. But, you know, if going back to what we were just talking about, if he plays like we think he's capable of, and we've seen him in glimpses, that changes the dynamic of this offense in a huge way too. So, you know, again, if Aaron Banks is able to do more, we obviously want to see how they align their offensive line. We still have not seen Morgan take any snaps at left tackle. So for a left tackle competition between him and Rasheed Walker, that hasn't really started yet. The one thing that Matt LaFleur talked about this morning, and I appreciate the fact that it's a Sunday, so he's not doing it during Wilde and Tausch, and I have to miss his press conference, is that Nate Hobbs was a little too physical considering they didn't have pads on, and that they need to rein that in and look out for each other. And so, you know, that's a guy who has a physical reputation to begin with, but is also trying to make an impression with his new team that paid him, you know, a 4-year, $48 million deal. So he's got I'm curious to see what practice looks like today, especially given that it's hotter than hell out here.
Great stuff, as always, from Jason Wilde. Thank you, and enjoy practice. Stay cool if you can.
All right, Greg, I appreciate you. Thanks, Kyle. Take care. Be good.
All right, Jason Wilde, he'll come back next week here on Sunday Karma. Who knows who he'll be talking to? It is host roulette here on Sunday Karma. Greg Scalzo, Kyle Wallace here with you right now. We'll turn our attention to the Brewers, who dropped 2 straight against the Miami Marlins heading into the trade deadline. We'll talk about them next on Sunday Karma.
You're listening to Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Erica, it's good to see you.
How are things at our amazing Germantown location?
Absolutely fantastic. We heard you had a bold idea. What is it?
We're celebrating our 45th year in business, so I think we should give away some natural diamonds. Wow, that is a bold idea. How many and how big? 3/4 carat. 9 natural diamonds, each one clarity enhanced for maximum brilliance. 1 diamond for each store.
How should we mount them, Erica?
We'll give them away as diamond pendants.
So each of the 9 Kessler stores will have their own diamond pendant to give away?
Yeah, and all a person will have to do is to walk into a store and register to win. Can a person travel to all 9 stores and register at each one? Yeah, why not? And people will have from now until July 28th to register.
I'm in.
Me too.
It's unanimous, and people should bring in all their old jewelry so that we can professionally clean it for them for free.
That makes so much difference.
For the location of the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Forget average. At Exterior Pros, they bring the heat. They're not here to meet standards, they're here to smash them. From the first swing of the hammer to the final reveal, they're leveling up your home with every window, every shingle, and every single detail. This isn't just a remodel, it's a glow up for your house. Built tough, built beautiful, built to turn heads. Want in? Let's go. Lock in your project now and save $3,000. Exterior Pros, where bold meets built. Trust the pros and visit extpros.com or call 262-800-4274. Kyle Brust-Nortman's Ben Brust here for Grimal and Associates Insurance. They do what anyone with a growing family, like myself, does. Protect what matters most. Grimal and Associates specializes in coverage that's tailored exactly to you. Clients aren't just policies. They're part of their community. Personalized American Family Insurance back service, expert guidance, and genuine commitment. Grimal and Associates focuses on building trusted relationships and providing peace of mind. The same values they've had for over 30 years in the Milwaukee area. Connect with Grimal and Associates at teamgrimal.com.
Hey, this is Brad Nortman from KBN. Tune in to Kyle Brust-Nortman every day from 2 to 5. WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
It ain't nothing like where I'm from. Yeah, I can't keep my gun in my truck. They don't know my name at these bars. They don't know my name. And you can't even see any stars in Miami. You got me in my head for a couple days now, but it don't hit the same.
listening to Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
It is Sunday Karma live from the Gruber Law Office. One call, that's all studios. The Avenue, 3rd Street, Market Hall. Greg Scalzo, Kyle Wallace with you. Big thanks to Jason Wilde for joining us last segment to talk some Packers. Brewers had won 11 straight, capturing the best record in baseball, 12 of their 13, and then all of a sudden come home for a series against the Miami Marlins. Dropped 2 in a row yesterday, 7-4 loss. Friday night, wasn't Friday night. It was a Friday 3:10 game. Interesting start time for the Brewers on a home game on a Friday. They dropped that one to the Marlins 5-1. Today they're back at it with a 1:10 first pitch. And the only hope is that these are the games that they're dropping. Hopefully you win today. You still take 1 of 3 against the Marlins, and you get whatever you needed to get out of your system before the Cubs come to town, because they got the Cubs coming to town Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in a showdown between the two teams tied for first place in the NL Central. And that's going to be a really important series with a lot on the line because of the swings that it can take from a divisional standpoint and hanging over both teams' heads and really the entire league, right, is the trade deadline coming up. And it's such a different circumstance than it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, certainly 10 years ago, when you look at the amount of teams with the third wild card now in Major League Baseball, where everybody feels like they're in it. There's very few teams that are just holding up their hand and saying, "Yup, we are sellers at the deadline because we know we don't got a shot, and we've got some veterans we want to offload because we want to ultimately build for the future." So now you've got this sort of Shark Tank in Major League Baseball where you got a lot of teams that feel like they're 1 or 2 players away from really contending, especially in a year where the Dodgers seem down, the Yankees seem down, and it feels like this league, this season is anyone's. And with that level of competition, for a team like the Brewers, who heading into the year, it felt like, hey, it's sort of this transitional year. Jackson Churrio's great, but you had the pitching challenges early in the year with the injuries. You got some young prospects that you could be excited about. It didn't feel like a year to go all in necessarily. It felt like a year to contend, as the Brewers always do, to their credit. But it didn't feel like a year where you're like, oh, we're 1 or 2 players away from it. And now halfway through the season, more than halfway through the season, post-All-Star break, that's where I think fans are. Hey, can you get Geno Suarez? What else can you add offensively to the lineup? What's the bat that you need to take that next step, knowing how great the starting pitching is, knowing how great the Miz has been, knowing how great and deep your pitching is, and that you're a William Contreras getting hot away, a Sal Frelick coming back from injury away from this team again, being one of the top teams in all of baseball. What do you want to see the Brewers do at the deadline remains the biggest question I think that you have. 800-990-3776. Again, 800-990-ESPN.
Yeah, I went from, hey, slow and steady. We got a great future. I understand we can get excited about this season. But once they went on that long 11-game winning streak, winning 12 of 13 games, I really changed my mind. I said, you know what? This team has some factors in order for them to be able to make a run. And so at that point, I'm okay with trading away one of the many great prospects that we have in order to potentially make a run. The Brewers aren't that far off. A big bat, somebody else in the bullpen as well. The Brewers could make a run if they solidify their starting lineup, because we see what's on that shortstop, third baseman, specifically the third base. Are Durbin and Joey Ortiz going to be consistent enough for you in the playoffs when it really matters? Because right now, Durbin, playing well. Joey's playing a little bit better. But, those guys are going to have their ups and their downs. And will their downs be in September, October, when you really need them to step up? That's what you're curious about.
Yeah, it's also a team that's so defined, right? Like, this is a team that plays great defense, that's the best base running team in baseball, that knows how to manufacture runs in a traditional sense. And when you have that, plus you have the depth of starting pitching, you have the depth of pitching in general that allows you to do what they're doing with Mizorowski right now, which is saying, wait a second, this guy is as good as we thought that he is at the major league level. How do we maintain his workload so that once we hit really deep September into the playoffs, he is going to be rearing to go and ready for the long haul? Like, now all of a sudden you say, well, how much do you want to mess with that recipe, and what can you do around the edges to be able to maintain who this team is, who the team that Pat Murphy is able to manage the way that he manages them, while also making a meaningful contribution to help them again with a big bat, hopefully in the middle of the order, knowing that it's not guaranteed that William Contreras is going to return to to what we
He's
know
hurt.
he can do.
He's hurt.
From an offensive standpoint. Yeah, he's hurt, but it doesn't mean he's not capable of being that offensive guy that we've seen before.
Now,
but it does feel like it's affecting him in a negative way.
I do need to know. So for you, put your stamp on it. What do the Brewers need to do? The trade deadline is quickly approaching. What do the Brewers need to do?
I don't want them to sacrifice who they are as a team and give up too much right now for the rest of this season from a pitching standpoint, or for the future, because you think you need to land a Gino Suarez. I trust Matt Arnold in that front office as much as I trust any front office in Wisconsin sports. Do what you do, find the right trade, and don't overswing and change fundamentally who you are, because I think part of the Brewers' magic is they know exactly who they are, and they're able to play and manage to that. And I want them to continue to be who they are and not try to trade that out for, hey, now we've got to get somebody else who can hit a lot of home runs.
I ain't mad at that.
Yeah, appreciate that. Dom Cotroneo covers the Brewers for 620 WTMJ. You hear him on Brewers Extra Innings, Brewers Warm-Up. He's going to join us next to talk all things Brewers. This is Sunday Karma across ESPN Wisconsin.
This is Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app. With Wilde and Tausch, you won't miss a play.
So this is going to be, I think, a total win-win. Zach Tom gets the biggest signing bonus. He's going to average $22 million a year. He's locked up for 5 years now.
Presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
But Green Bay showed yesterday why they are a self-sustaining operation and a world-class organization, because they know what the hell they're doing.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on 94.5 ESPN, ESPN Milwaukee's YouTube channel, and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
The deals are heating up at the Summer Savings Event all summer long at Cunis. Get the hottest savings of the year at nearby Milwaukee Metro Cunis locations in Oak Creek, Greenfield, and the new Cunis Hope Chevrolet on West Metro Auto Mall. We have sizzling new vehicle specials on the most popular cars, trucks, and SUVs from Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC. Or with one of our 10 pre-owned super specials, you'll be swimming in a pool of savings. Plus, keep your vehicle refreshed with our service specials on brakes, tires, and oil changes.
I'm Brian Bohm, General Manager of Cunis of Oak Creek.
And I'm Bill Eater, General Manager of Cunis of Greenfield.
We would like to invite you to take advantage of these great monthly specials.
And remember that your vehicle will be covered by our exclusive No Fear Lifetime Powertrain Warranty, included with new and qualified pre-owned purchases.
Call or stop in today for your VIP appointment.
Get outside and enjoy the Summer Savings Event at Cunis. Start your search online at CunisMilwaukee.com.
The open road is calling, and the ride begins at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. This July, you could burn rubber on a custom Harley-Davidson in the Fire Up Your Fantasy motorcycle giveaway. Play with your rewards card all July for entries. Thursday drawings for extra cash and reward play. Fire Up Your Fantasy, only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
College students, are you looking to make your campus living more comfortable, functional, and fashionable this year? Let IKEA help. From innovative storage solutions and furniture to maximize your space, to fashionable bedding and accessories to make it uniquely yours, IKEA is helping make college living truly inspired by you. And now, qualified college students can save even more with 15% off their IKEA purchase when they sign up for IKEA Family for free. Visit IKEA Oak Creek, IKEA Schaumburg, or check out the Ready for College section on IKEA.com/US to learn more.
Kevin Moret here for Mentality. Listen up, gentlemen. You're fighting an unfair battle. Studies show testosterone levels in men have plummeted by 25% in just 2 decades. That's why you're struggling with energy, muscle, and drive. But here's a game changer. Mentality's FDA-approved treatments boost testosterone by 30% on average. Imagine reclaiming the vitality your grandfathers had. Picture turning heads, dominating your career, and feeling unstoppable again. Don't settle for today's normal. Seize the day at mentalityhealth.com/radio. That's mentalityhealth.com/radio.
Get ready to say goodbye to those bland seltzers at the ballpark. Carbless is proudly Wisconsin-born, crafted by real people. A husband and wife team who wanted better cocktails in a can. They're locally made and blissfully better. Carbless offers a bold, true cocktail flavor that's made for baseball fans. Available in fan-favorite flavors like lemon lime, black raspberry, cranberry, and mango, bringing the craft cocktail bar to your seat. Refreshment that matches the energy of American Family Field is Carbless. Full of flavor, no sugar, and no carbs. Just game day bliss.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here. American Family Insurance can help protect your dream home for whatever comes next. You can live in your own oasis or your own clubhouse. Whatever you choose, get the right coverage. Save up to 23% by bundling home and auto. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI and its operating companies. 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Hey, this is Tanas Antetokounmpo. Download the new ESPN Wisconsin app.
Your state, your teams, your ESPN. The brand new ESPN Wisconsin app. Find the ESPN Wisconsin app in the Apple or Android app stores today. You're listening to Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Sunday Karma across ESPN Wisconsin, live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios in downtown Milwaukee. Greg Scalzo, Kyle Wallace here with you. Brewers back at it today, 1:10 first pitch. Brandon Woodruff on the hill for Milwaukee. Excited to be joined by Dom Contronio, who you hear around every Brewers game on 620 WTMJ here in Milwaukee and across the Brewers radio network, including ESPN Madison and ESPN Beaver Dam. Dom, thanks so much for joining us. Brewers were so hot. They got a day off. Come back home, and they dropped 2 in a row to the Miami Marlins. Is there any cause for concern, or is this just the regular ebbs and flows of a 162-game baseball season?
Yeah, overreaction Sunday here, right? Oh, my goodness, they won 11 in a row. They cannot lose 2 more games the rest of the season. It's unacceptable. I can't believe this, Scalzo. But, hey, it's baseball. You're right. It's ebbs and flows of the season. There was no way the Brewers were going to go 65-0 the rest of the season, whatever number of games they had remaining from the end of that winning streak. So, hey, you hit a bump in the road. You know, there's the cliche to say, oh, get it out of the way now before you face the Cubs coming up this week. But this is a week that, quite frankly, the Brewers, they got beat. And I think it's there's a difference between getting beat and beating yourselves, where, yes, the Brewers made a few mistakes in these last 2 games. The Marlins beat them. Like, let's give the Marlins credit. They're only 3 games under 500. They've got a young core that's excited to play together. They can see the light at the end of the tunnel from the end of their rebuild. So let's give them some credit that the Marlins have flat out beat the Brewers these last 2 games more than the Brewers have beat themselves.
Dom, obviously Woodruff on the hill, today his return has been great, continuing to add depth to, maybe the deepest, pitching staff in all of baseball. But Sal Frelick comes back from IL after that hamstring injury. What's he going to bring back to the offense of this Brewers team?
Yeah, I mean, it was perfect yesterday, right? He gets a Baltimore chop base hit for his first at-bat back from the injured list. He's off today. They're going to be cautious with that hamstring while he recovers back. He might get a couple more off days over the next few days. I imagine he'll play the whole Cubs series. They wanted to give him the day off today to make sure he can play that whole Cubs series. And they will be creative with making sure they use the off days well to make sure that hamstring doesn't nag him for the rest of the season. But for Sal, one of the hot streaks within the hot streak for the Brewers was when they moved him to the leadoff spot. They have the best record in the National League since May 18th. They got even better since June 15th when Sal went to the leadoff spot. So, yes, they won all but one game with Sal on the injured list, but he still makes your lineup just a little bit more dynamic. Another pest at the top of the order that doesn't strike out often, has a knack for contact. And, oh, by the way, delivers Gold Glove defense in right field. We know how important that is to the Brewers, and for him to be back as the table setter at the top of the order is certainly going to keep this lineup churning once it gets all that production that we've been seeing from 7, 8, 9 in the order, that Sal can keep that engine going.
Talking to Dom Contronio here on Sunday Karma across ESPN Wisconsin. Heading into the trade deadline, it's like there's so many rumors. It's gotten so much worse with Twitter and social media now where you don't really know what to believe. It's also become so much more interesting just as a baseball fan than it was 10 years ago when it felt like at this time of the year there was a much smaller subset of teams that felt like they were in the race than there is now with the expanded wild card, especially this year when there's been, not those dominant teams at the top as we've seen the past couple of years with the Dodgers and Yankees, etc. What do you think is possible for this Brewers team heading into the deadline? I think that, it's easy for Brewers fans to trust this front office, but obviously when your team is as good as they are playing right now, fans want to see big splash moves. You hear Gino Suarez's name being thrown around, some other bats that get thrown out. What's realistic and reasonable for Brewers fans to expect heading into this hot trade deadline coming up?
Everything's on the table. I think everything is realistic. And even Mark Atanasio, principal owner of these Brewers, said so on television on Friday night. The financial commitment to, say, a Gino Suarez, you're not even paying a third of the season salary owed to that player. So, quite frankly, this team's going to the playoffs. So that becomes an easy wash when it comes to cash flow and you're thinking about operating this like a business. So Mark Atanasio has already put his cards on the table saying, yes, you have approval to go get something, make something happen. Now, he trusts Matt Arnold to say, this is not going to hemorrhage the future of giving up something the Brewers really don't want to give up. And that's why you see this song and dance play out over these final 5 days. You have until 5 o'clock Central Time on Thursday evening for the trade to arrive at the league office. So sometimes we see trades get announced after that deadline passes. But the point being, if you wait all the way to 4:50 and there still isn't a deal for Eugenio Suarez for the Diamondbacks, and they're realizing, well, we're not going to keep him, and this team's not going to the playoffs, we got to make sure you get something out of him, and then maybe the price suddenly comes down. Or, in the Diamondbacks' eyes, they say, oh, well, someone's going to get desperate. We can create a bidding war here by creating scarcity now that they've already traded Randall Grichuk to the Royals. Ryan O'Hearn has not been traded yet from the Orioles. That's another target that the Brewers are monitoring. But the point being, the Brewers have the financial capital to go after Gino Suarez. They also have the prospect capital to go after Gino Suarez because he is the belle of the ball this year. He's a perfect fit when you talk about power, when you talk about clubhouse, when you talk about his defense. He is somebody that would fit right in here in Milwaukee.
When you talk about the belle of the ball and having to give up prospects, what level of prospects are we talking? Are we talking about some of the guys that are MLB ready? Are we talking about when the Brewers made the trade for, goodness gracious, Quinn Priester, where you kind of had a young prospect that you traded? What would the Brewers need to give up?
Right, that's a good question, Kyle. So the thought is for Quinn Priester, just to be comparative on that, the big reason why Quinn, quote-unquote, costed as much as Quinn Priester did is because of the multiple years of control. He still has an option remaining. He's just now crossed over a year of service time in the big leagues. So he's still got 4 more full seasons in a Brewers uniform guaranteed. That's why that deal costed as much as it costed from a prospect capital perspective. You know, it gave up a competitive balance pick, Yoferi Rodriguez, and a player to be named later. Gino Suarez and Ryan O'Hearn and Luis Robert, if we're going to throw his name into this too, they're all rental pieces, meaning they are free agents to be coming up at the end of the season. Now, there's value. The market dictates what you're worth. And in the Diamondbacks' eyes, they need pitching, and quite frankly, they're going to want near big league ready pitching. Somebody like a Chad Patrick, who ironically was in the Diamondbacks organization 2 years ago. Somebody like Logan Henderson. Somebody like, even a DL Hall or an Aaron Ashby. These big league caliber players that maybe are currently on the outside looking into this depth chart for the Brewers. That's what it's going to take to really wow the Diamondbacks. But this is where the Brewers get disciplined and say, no. We got a lot of free agents coming off the books this offseason. Jose Quintana, Nestor Cortez, Brandon Woodruff, they're all going to be walking this offseason. So you want to maintain that depth as long as possible, and that's how this cat and mouse game happens.
Wait, Brandon Woodruff is walking this offseason? Is that just known that he's not coming back? Big woo?
Well, it's a mutual option, and those are almost never picked up by one or the other party. The thought for Brandon Woodruff is if he were to return on that 1-year mutual option, he risks injury. He risks not having multiple years. The Brewers did something very unheard of in that they signed him to not pitch for him at all last season. To understand, they wanted to give him the opportunity to pitch this year, audition himself, and put himself out there to get a multi-year deal the following season. It still could be with the Brewers, but I think by all intents and purposes, by all accounting metrics, Woodruff's going to be a free agent at the end of the year.
Talking to Dom Contronio here on Sunday Karma across ESPN Wisconsin. One of the exciting, obviously, young pitchers and the phenomenon of Jacob Misiorowski. The Miz, last time he was out against the Mariners, he didn't finish the fourth inning, pitched 3 2/3. He struck out 7. He only had 64 pitches. How do you see the Brewers ultimately handling Misiorowski through the rest of this season, knowing that they want him to be at his peak and at his freshest when it matters most, late September, obviously into October?
When Miz was asked this today, we actually had our pre-start meeting with Miz as members of the media earlier today. He was asked about the innings limit. He goes, I don't care about the regular season innings. I care about the October innings. And that fired me up, man. Like, this dude gets it. You could sit here and cry, woe is me. I can't believe they're limiting me. I can keep going. But Miz sees the vision. He understands, hey, they care for me. They care for my arm. And they want to make sure I'm as fresh as possible because let's be honest here, Greg, like this team's going to October and you want to have Jacob Misiorowski as healthy as possible in 2 months' time. Literally, we're almost exactly 2 months away from the end of the regular season. So you want to make sure that over these next, 8 to 10 starts for Jacob Misiorowski that you don't go past, you don't push it, you don't red line it so that when it is time to actually rev up that engine, he's good to go. So I think for Miz, the Brewers are going to be very disciplined with him. They have the depth to handle it, and he's going to learn each step of the way. And tomorrow's going to be a big step for him against a rocking crowd here at American Family Field.
Another one of the Brewers' young stars, one of their most important players, William Contreras, right? Like, tell me if I'm crazy, because we kind of just, me and Kyle just kind of talked about this a little bit. Thanks. I'm still waiting for him to hit an offensive stride. Am I hoping for something that's not going to happen because of his injury, right? We know he's beat up a little bit right now. His OPS is about 150 points lower than it's been on any season that he's really been, starting and playing significantly. Is this just a year where it's, hey, get the most out of him that you can and have him be healthy for next year? Or is it possible that he is going to come around and start hitting to the clip that we're normally seeing from a guy like William Contreras?
Yeah, so let's faction the season into thirds, right? So the first 2 months of the season through May 31st, he was hitting 253, but the slug was only about 350, 360. Then from June 1st to now, the consistency fell. He went down to 230, down to 320 slugs. So now you hope as we approach August that these final 2 months have him hitting his stride. And the example, the way that I see it for the Brewers right now, is they want to give him breathers. They want to give him the opportunity to get rest because today he's DHing on one of the hottest days of the year. He's not catching Brandon Woodruff today. And furthermore, that's part of the reason Anthony Siegler's on this roster, because he can be an emergency third catcher. He can catch the end of a game if you need something to happen, something to change. With William DHing and Eric Haas behind the plate, there's always fear that if you have both of your catchers in the starting lineup, that you risk something going wrong, and then you're having the pitcher bat the rest of the game. So that's part of the reason Siegler is here, to give William these opportunities to be the DH. And the other half of that is Yelly has to play left field. So all of this is connected to say the Brewers are going to be disciplined in trying to give William a few more half days off, full days off, to get his best self ready for October. I believe there is more power in there. He is not going to finish the season with single-digit home runs. I sure hope not anyway. But if he doesn't, hey, the other guys have been picking up the slack for him pretty well to have tied for the best record in the National League.
Dom Contronio, Brewers warm-up, Brewers extra innings. You hear him all the time on 620 WTMJ. Talking Brewers. Thanks so much for the time, and we'll be listening this afternoon.
All right, thanks, guys.
Brewers. I feel like they've captured the summer, which has been a lot of fun. You can, again, listen to them. 1:10 first pitch coming up, with Brandon Woodruff, the big woo, as you said, Kyle, on the mound today across all of ESPN Wisconsin and the Brewers radio network statewide. We'll come back. We'll talk Brewers. We'll talk Packers. We'll talk all things Wisconsin sports. We might even see how Kyle's feeling about the Wisconsin Badgers, because that's one team that nobody wants to talk about.
Oh, wow.
Right
That's
now.
how you're going to end this? How you want to end this? You want me to get emotional. You want me to get mad. Thank you, Greg, on my Sunday.
Sunday Karma, ESPN Wisconsin.
You're listening to Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Hi, I'm Brittany Miller from Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more. Custom T-shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, you name it, we can do it. Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and more is family owned and all about celebrating life's big moments. Maybe it's a milestone birthday, a celebration for your child's first goal, or that work fundraising event. We are everyone's printer. No minimum orders, affordable designs, and help straight from me and our team. We're the one-stop shop for all your custom needs. Start your project today at bigfrog.com/Mequon.
Turn those hoop dreams into reality with Precision Sports, your one-stop shop in southeastern Wisconsin for Mega Slam, Ironclad, and Dominator basketball hoop systems. Installation of new or old hoops and completely customizable painted court lines. PrecisionSportsOnline.com.
How much does it cost to talk to Gruber Law Offices after a serious crash? It's free. Yes, free. As in, it won't cost you anything to speak with us. Not sure if you have a case? Call our team at Gruber Law Offices today. Your first call and your first consultation are always free. And you'll never pay us a fee until we win your case. If you've been seriously injured, call Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Hey, this is Mike from Infinity Exteriors. Buying a roof, siding, or windows can feel overwhelming. Hidden costs, confusing contracts. We don't play that game. We educate you so you can decide. And when you know the facts, Infinity Exteriors is the clear choice. Since 1997, we've installed peace of mind with no surprise upcharges, flexible budgets, and immediate financing. Infinity Exteriors, saving our communities from unscrupulous contractors. Visit infinityexteriors.com.
With a dedicated Milwaukee team, Fifth Third Bank knows what success looks like. For 15 years, we've been serving businesses, organizations, and individuals in the area with a long-standing commitment to the healthcare and not-for-profit sectors. Whether it's expansion to commercial payments, Fifth Third offers a full suite of financial services and solutions to navigate your organization's complex needs. Experience the difference with Fifth Third Bank. National Association. Custom solutions built around your goals. Member FDIC.
Let your car shine without spending a dime. Tsunami Express Car Wash is Milwaukee's fan-favorite car wash for a next-level clean. And right now, your first wash is free when you sign up online. That's our $25 top wash, packed with gloss, protection, and free bonus perks like vacuums and mat cleaners. With locations in Midtown Milwaukee, Waukesha, Greenfield, Oak Creek, New Berlin, and Mount Pleasant, it's easier than ever to get a winning wash with Milwaukee's favorite car wash team. Get your first free wash today at TsunamiExpress.com. Tsunami Express Car Wash. Wash, chill, repeat.
Kyle Brust-Nortman's Ben Brust here for Grimal and Associates Insurance. They do what anyone with a growing family, like myself, does. Protect what matters most. Grimal and Associates specializes in coverage that's tailored exactly to you. Clients aren't just policies. They're part of their community. Personalized American Family Insurance back service, expert guidance, and genuine commitment. Grimal and Associates focuses on building trusted relationships and providing peace of mind. The same values they've had for over 30 years in the Milwaukee area. Connect with Grimal and Associates at teamgrimal.com.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End the friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Station updates, show clips, and your place to interact with us every single day just by scrolling through your feed. Follow along on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at ESPN Milwaukee. Kyle Preston Nortman, KBN.
If you're just doing this because you're starting to not believe the Packers are going to bring in a number one wide receiver, just doing it the Goody way and growing young and growing together.
This is ESPN Milwaukee on 94.5 ESPN and the ESPN Wisconsin app. You're listening to Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Sunday Karma across ESPN Wisconsin. Greg Scalzo, Kyle Wallace. Live from the Gruber Law Offices, One Call, That's All Studios here in downtown Milwaukee, but across ESPN Wisconsin. You can get into the show 800-990-ESPN, 800-990-3776. That's the Carbless Talking text line. Carbless. Less is more. Packers going through their fourth practice in training camp right now. They'll put the pads on tomorrow, reportedly. No Quay Walker, no Christian Watson, of course. No Elton Jenkins today. However,
when is Elton coming back here? His back. Rotation.
When's he getting his contract?
Well, I mean, when are we going to get concerned? Jason was talking about how they're supposed to have a left tackle competition with Jordan Morgan and Rasheed Walker, but they can't have the competition because of the fact that they have to have Jordan Morgan at guard position because they're moving Sean Ryan to the center position. Like, how are we cross-trading him to compete?
Again, they're not even wearing pads right now. How much are we that concerned about the offensive line?
I'm just saying, Jordan Morgan needs as many reps as he can get at left tackle because at some point he may be your left tackle of the future. Unless Anthony Belt is your left tackle of the future, he's your guard.
Or Rasheed Walker?
Rasheed going to get paid somewhere.
He's going to get – I agree with that.
Stingy.
Aaron Banks and Savion Williams did return to practice today, which is good news, obviously, for the Green Bay Packers. Brewers again taking on the Marlins, the third of a three-game set, trying to avoid a sweep at home. Brandon Woodruff on the mound, 110 first pitch there across the Brewers radio network. One other team that's going on in camp right now is the Wisconsin Badgers football team. We've got I think a big year for Luke Fickell. I don't think his seat is as hot as many fans do. I don't think that if they win 4 or 5 games this year that he's going to get fired, which is absurd to say given that in the last 2 decades, 3 decades really of Wisconsin Badger football, the expectation is double-digit wins with the schedule being as hard as it is.
Stop. We've had hard schedules before and we finished over 500.
I agree. You're not going to like to hear it. Badger fans aren't going to like to hear it. I still think that a really bad year for the Badgers record-wise this year puts Fickell potentially in the crosshairs for next season, but I think he would get a next season.
Yeah, just to fail again. The roster changes every year. We haven't had the same starting quarterback since when? 2020? Was Graham Mertz the last time we had the
Graham
same?
Mertz might have been the last back-to-back starting quarterback.
What are we doing? Yeah. I mean, I'm serious. What are we doing? The roster keeps turning over year after year, so we're sitting here talking about, let's have them have this year. And then what? To do what? Listen, kids are only going for 2 things. They're going for the money or they're going for teams that are winning. If you don't have money and you are not winning, you don't have a chance to attract good transfers. What are we talking about? I'm dead serious. What are we talking about? Indiana, I don't know what their recruiting class was, but I bet you Indiana was able to get some better players again this year. Because of what?
Well, yeah, because they're coach, right? It's a staff, and I think that if you're the Badgers, you have to be careful when you're in the recruiting mix, that the other teams aren't pointing and saying, why are you going to Wisconsin? Why are you going to this staff? They might not even be here next year. And I think that's part of what, Chris McIntosh and Luke Fickell are trying to build, is an element of consistency. And this idea of, hey, we're trying to build something, a culture from within. I don't think that this is a lame duck year for Luke Fickell, nor do I think, quite frankly, it should be, because I don't know what's next. Now, the schedule makes it very difficult, and it was interesting to hear Joel Klatt, right, talk about what this Badgers team, could be facing coming up in this 2025 season. Here's what he had to say.
I want to be really clear. I think Luke Fickell is an excellent football coach. I really do. And I'm hoping that this works out for him. And I actually think that Wisconsin could be a better team roster-wise this year than they were even last year. But here's the problem. I don't know if that shows up in the win-loss column this year. This is one of the most difficult schedules in the country. So you can tell me like, they brought in Billy Edwards, a transfer quarterback. Fine. Jeff Grimes at offensive coordinator. Maybe they're going to be more physical and go back to what Wisconsin has been in the past on the offensive side. Okay, that's fine. But you still have to be better than the teams that you play. They could be underdogs in 9 of their 12 games this year. Think about that. So you look at that schedule and it's like, I don't know if they win 3 games.
That would be a problem. Once you get into that 3-game, right, I think if they win 5 games, it's going to feel ugly. But again, you're going to be probably, as he said, underdogs. I don't know if it'll be in 9 games he'll be underdogs, but ultimately, they've got the hardest schedule in all of college football this year. Where I think Fickell, you could say it doesn't deserve it, but where I think you do look at the good is 2024 was a top 25 recruiting class. 2025 is shaping up to be another top 25 recruiting class.
They're not keeping the kids, Greg.
Well, that's the problem. But they have to ultimately build something.
Xavier Lucas was your best guy that you had, and he's gone. Is he legally at Miami? Like, is he legally? Did they release his transcript so he can go to Miami?
I think he's there. Yeah, it's just a matter of what's going to happen
at Miami.
I don't legally is who's the governing body at this point? Does the NCAA even matter at this point? I think is a very fundamental question. But again, I think that it's interesting to think that this team could be better this year than last year and win. I'm not going to say 3 games because that makes me depressed, but 4 games, right? Which isn't that much better than 3 games. The idea of going 4-8 for a Wisconsin Badgers football team feels sacrilegious.
Dude, they play Mid-Tennessee State in Miami of Ohio. So
those are 2 wins.
So you're saying
those are 2 wins.
Those are 2 wins. So you're saying Maryland, Iowa, Washington, Indiana, Illinois, and Minnesota. All those 5 games there. They just got to win 2 of those games, and we're happy. And that means or maybe 6 of those games.
Look, it'd be great if you could win 6 games this year. I think I don't see. This is the sad part, Kyle, because you're right. They have to be better than the teams that they're playing. I don't see where 7 wins comes from for this Wisconsin Badgers.
What happened to upsets? We can't upset Michigan. Michigan isn't some powerhouse. At least they weren't last year. Ohio State's going to be tough. Oregon's going to be tough. But like outside of Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, outside of those 3 games, the Wisconsin Badgers should be competitive in every single game. That is my expectation, competitive or winning those football games. Michigan's a good football team, but they were not very good last year. I know they upset Ohio State.
At Alabama, at Michigan are going to be 2 very difficult games.
Yeah, but I understand, but they can win. They can beat Michigan. Michigan wasn't some juggernaut last year. They were a team that offensively struggled. I watched them play in person. They were not very good. They weren't a good football team despite the upset of Ohio State. They weren't a great football team last year. Wisconsin should be able to compete against them. They should be able to compete against Iowa, Washington.
So if you
Indiana. They should be able to pull off an upset of Michigan. Come on now.
Those two gimme wins at the beginning of the year, right? Miami, Ohio, Middle Tennessee. If they beat Maryland, that's 3, right? I can't believe we're doing this again. Say they upset Michigan, that's 4.
There it is.
Say they beat Iowa at home, all of a sudden that's 5. And then you're talking about them having to beat a Washington team that is beatable. That's 6. And then I guess Minnesota's your 7?
Oh, so you're saying Indiana's a wash. You can't beat Indiana no more.
You could, but add Indiana's a good team. They were a college football playoff team last year.
And that's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that all of a sudden we're talking about Indiana. Why can't we be Indiana?
You could. All right. So you think they can win 8 games?
Do I think they can? Hell no, they're not winning 8 games. See, we're lucky we get 5. And that's my problem, is that we used to look at the schedule and be like, oh, okay, yeah, oh, man, I can't wait till we play Ohio State, man, and battle Ohio State. Oh, yeah, Michigan, we beat the pants off of Michigan. I guess that's like 5 years ago now. But, I mean, like, I'm just trying to understand what happened to hope. Even last season, remember, against Penn State, they battled in that game. Oregon, that was a close football game. Alabama, that was a wash. They got whooped against it. But they competed against really good football teams last year, and you're telling me the roster could be better this season. Why can't they compete better? Billy Edwards Jr. is a good quarterback. I love his athletic ability. You're bringing back some good receivers as well.
Got a better offensive coordinator.
You got really good running backs. Why is it that we're setting ourselves up for this team can't compete whatsoever?
You know what? I'm actually happier that the expectations are where they are, because the idea that we'll be happy with 6 games means that there's potential to be happy, with this upcoming Badger season. And look, there's no magic bullet. There's no one call that you can make to say, hey, this team is going to be the team that we want it to be again.
There is one call you can make, though. With Gruber Law Offices, one call, that's all with Gruber Law Offices. If you or a loved one is ever injured in an accident, you know exactly what to do. You make one call, that's all to Gruber Law Offices, and they will take care of the rest. I'm telling you, I don't go back and forth with the insurance companies. I tried to do that, and guess what? I found out. I said, what am I doing? Let me call Gruber. That's what I did. They fought for me just like they will fight for you. So if you or a loved one, again, is ever injured in an accident, you know what to do. Make one call, that's all to Gruber Law Offices, and they will take care of the rest. And always remember this, you never pay a penny. You never pay a single cent until they win your case. So get with the winning law firm by calling them today at 414-276-6666. That's 414-276-6666, or visiting them at gruber-law.com. It's one call, that's all with Gruber Law Offices.
Palermo's Picks coming up next. Sunday Karma across ESPN Wisconsin.
You're listening to Sunday Karma on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app. All the antics.
You know the handbacks, those? Whenever I run those things, my eardrums rattle.
Look, man, you're the doctor.
All the action.
I think I've reached the stage of Eugenio Suarez or bust. Like, if the Diamondbacks are going to sell and Suarez becomes available, that's who I want. That's the guy that can make a big-time difference.
The best of both worlds lives right here. Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9 on 94.5 ESPN, the ESPN Wisconsin app, and ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here, and The Pickler is coming to Menominee Falls with 9 indoor pickleball courts and unlimited play. Leagues, tournaments, clinics, all included in your membership. The club opens August 16th, but founder memberships are on sale right now at a discounted rate with 3 months free compared to the regular price. Head over to thepickler.com, click on the Menominee Falls page, and lock in your spot today. The Pickler, P-I-C-K-L-R, your home for pickleball.
Here in Wisconsin, one name is synonymous with fantastic frozen pizza, Palermo's. For almost 60 years, Palermo's has focused on feeding Wisconsin families. And though Palermo's has grown a lot since 1964, they're still family-owned. They're still proud to call Milwaukee home. And they're still committed to making the best frozen pizza possible. From their new and improved rising crust pizzas to their guilt-free Primo thin pies, Palermo's has a delicious slice for every appetite. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer food aisle. Palermo's, flavor is our family's business.
Discover Proof Pizza at St. Kate the Arts Hotel. In the heart of Milwaukee's Theater District, this modern pizzeria delivers Neapolitan-style pies, a bold grill menu, and old-school hospitality in a sleek, art-inspired setting. Whether you're craving a quick lunch or a relaxed evening bite, Proof Pizza is your go-to downtown destination. Dine in, unwind, and savor flavor that hits just right. And here's a tip. If you mention Jen Latta, you'll receive 10% off your order. Learn more at stkatearts.com.
At Cousin Subs, the bigger your smile, the better we feel. That's why our menu features something for everyone, like our Wisconsin cheese curds, golden fries, creamy shakes, and mac and cheese, all paired with your favorite sub, or our subs in a bowl. And don't forget our kids' meals, now with a free cookie. Here's to a better day. Cousin Subs. We believe in better.
It's Jason Wilde from Wilde & Tausch. Upgrade your industrial supply services with Lakeland Supply, your trusted ISO certified partner for custom packaging, shipping supplies, janitorial, and safety supply solutions. With over 40 years of industry excellence, Lakeland Supply is a proven one-stop source with over 95% of their products made in the U.S., and they treat their customers like family. Personalized service with a national reach. That's what Lakeland Supply does. Visit LakelandSupply.com to discover how they can make your business better.
Your path to a degree should fit your life, not the other way around. At Lakeland University, you can personalize every part of your college experience. With a main campus in Sheboygan, evening classes across the state, and flexible online options, you choose how and when you learn. Just graduated high school, changing careers, juggling work and life, they've got options for you. You can even earn credit for experience you already have, or for the work you're doing now, saving time and money. Start customizing your future today at lakeland.edu/ESPN. Lakeland University. Experience it your way.
At Citizens Bank, community banking is you, growing your business with a partner who gets it. It's you, buying your first home with a lender who makes it easy. It's you, building a future with savings that work just as hard as you. And it's us, working together to strengthen our community. Because at Citizens Bank, community banking means you plus us. Visit us at citizensbankwi.bank. Citizens Bank is member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Your state, your teams, your ESPN. The ESPN Wisconsin app. Customizable just for you. Find the ESPN Wisconsin app in the Apple or Android app stores today. It's that time.
Yes, it's finally here.
Craig makes his picks of the week.
You can bet the house on it.
Picks of the week on Sunday Karma with Craig Karmazin. Presented by Palermo's Pizza, Wisconsin's hometown pizza.
Can't wait to see what happens next.
On ESPN Wisconsin and WisconsinOnDemand.com.
No Craig Karmazin today. I'm Greg Scalzo alongside Kyle Wallace for Sunday Karma. Live from the Gruber Law Offices, One Call That's All studios in downtown Milwaukee. But we are going to be making our Palermo's picks. Pizza, always a good idea. It's an easy meal for busy nights. You can make it even easier by stopping at Festival Foods and stocking up on Connie's and the all-new Cheez-It Pizza for only $4.99 now through the 29th. So get on it. Head on down to Festival. Pick up some pizzas, get a classic Connie's thin crust, and try the new Cheez-It. It is a win-win. And speaking of win-win, that's what we're hoping for the Brewers coming up for these next 4 games. Again, we got Woody on the mound coming up 1:10 today against Miami, and then 3 at home against the rival Chicago Cubs. Craig Counsell coming to town. So I want to make our picks on this next 4-game set, right? We got Woodruff going today for the Brewers. Then Mizorowski makes the start tomorrow night. Then Quinn Priester. Then Freddie Peralta. That's a pretty good run here for the Milwaukee Brewers. I think they end up going 3-1. I think they win today to avoid the sweep against Miami, and I think they take 2 of 3 going up against the Chicago Cubs in that series at home to take sole possession of first place in the NL Central.
I am right there with you, Greg. I think you are on to something good. I believe the Milwaukee Brewers do not get swept today. They do beat the Miami Marlins, and then those Cubs come to town, and we take care of business against the Cubs. We win the series. We can't get the sweep, but we do win the series against the Cubs, and the Brewers are looking good in first place in the NL Central Division. But as Pat Murphy said, there's still a long way to go. It's only July. It's only July.
Yeah, it's always fun when you're in the baseball season and every game feels like it matters. And you're right, it is only July. You still got 60 games to play. But the Brewers are right there. They're playing great baseball. And I actually love it. I know a lot of Brewers fans don't. I love when the Cubs come to town. I love when the Cubs fans come to town. The energy's different, right?
Don't sell tickets. Do not sell tickets. We need Brewers. I don't want to hear the Go Cubs trash. Go. None of that. I want to hear Go Brewers. I want to hear Brewers. That's all I want to hear. If you see somebody in a Cubs jersey, ignore them. Tell them they're trash just like their team.
Host roulette. We don't know who's in next week. Somebody might. But we'll see.
I think I'm here at least.
All right. Well, we should put up some betting odds as to who's even going to be on the show for next week. But thanks for being with us. And we will be back next week, as we are every Sunday, with Sunday Karma across ESPN Wisconsin. Kyle, send us out.
Peace.
Kendrick. Spark to a fire, then a flame and kiss it. Go hard in my lane, both strikes in the blizzard. 10 million in the brain, gotta roll with the vision. Vision of a good time, all I wanna know when the party gon' start, let the good time roll. Come on, let's go. You got a lot of living, keep the party on the road. Ain't nothing like the feeling when you're winning in your soul. The wheel keeps spinning, only got one goal. Don't stop the joke and stop the flow. The real ain't ready, cause I rock the globe. So act like you know, act like you know, act like you know just what to do when the good time roll. Now there's times when it's understood. Even nicer when it makes you feel good.
This is ESPN Wisconsin and ESPNWisconsin.com.
Hi, Mitzi. What's the news from Kessler's in Brookfield?
Everything's smooth like butter. We're all just marching